So, with the recent release of the PS5 and Xbox Series X, most of us have been desperately trying to pre-order at least one of these consoles so we can get our hands on the newest gaming hardware before the end of the year. With the consoles both coming in November, just a little over a month away from now, the demand is definitely something we've never seen before when it comes to next gen consoles, and as a result, has made it very hard for most people to actually get a hold of either the PS5 or Xbox Series X. Now, me personally, I tried to get pre-orders for the PS5, and after spending a few days on a few different stores, I'm still yet to be able to get myself a copy of either version of the PlayStation, being the disc version or digital version, so I'm going to have to be patient and just wait. I even went to a few Walmarts across my city to see if I could pre-order them because someone on Twitter had actually told me that you could go in store and pre-order the consoles, which sounded a lot easier than trying to deal with the broken websites. But after trying all the Walmarts out in my area and tweeting this at Walmart, it looks like I just ended up wasting a few hours that day. Now, of course, everybody wants the new consoles on day one, and a lot of that is just for the hype of the consoles and having that new thing as soon as it comes out, which I can understand, but the hardware we're seeing come with these consoles really is a huge step forward compared to last gen. And there's one big thing I think a lot of people aren't paying attention to, and is a major possibility, and that's a possibility of defects, especially with the first batch of consoles, which are probably still being shipped right now to various distributors. I'm not saying Sony or Microsoft hasn't done their testing and quality checked all consoles before selling them, but hardware defects do happen, and with a massive launch like this taking place, the ones who are really doing the testing here aren't Sony or Microsoft, but it's us, the players. Now, you're probably wondering what I'm talking about. Well, let's go back 2 console generations. Back on the Xbox 360 was the first time we really saw how much this could affect players, with the Xbox 360 suffering the well-known red ring of death. Basically what it was if your console had overheated, which the original Xbox 360 Pro Edition consoles were very susceptible to doing, sometimes the lights on the consoles would switch from green to red, resulting in you having to mail your console back to Microsoft for them to fix if you still had warranty. Now, as annoying as this was, it was actually a really common problem, and even though I was lucky enough to never experience it myself, it happened to a few of my friends. Now, the PS3 wasn't immune to this kind of issue either, and had its own version of the red ring of death, but just in a lighter color, which was the yellow light of death. Similarly to the Xbox, this was a common problem on the original fat PS3s, and even though not as common as red ring of deaths on the Xbox, it still was possible to get. Now, what do these two issues have in common? Well, they were major problems of the launch versions of both consoles, both of which were corrected after the newer PS3 Slim and Xbox models came out. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't get these console issues on the newer versions, but they were a lot less common compared to the launch versions. Now, moving to our current generation consoles before the PS5 and Xbox Series X do come out, the Xbox One luckily wasn't able to display any colors on its face besides the white Xbox logo, so you physically couldn't even get a red ring of death even if you had one, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its own set of problems. Now, I can luckily say after having my Xbox One for nearly 5 years, I've luckily never experienced any issues similarly to with my Xbox 360, but in both cases, I bought these consoles out over a year or two after they had originally released. But in both cases, I did not have the launch version of these consoles. The Xbox One was more known for having disk drive problems, but usually was very easy to fix. The PS4, however, did still manage to bring over a color-oriented issue to its console, being the blinking blue light of death, which is much easier to fix than the yellow light of death on the PS3, but still is an issue players could see happening on their consoles. So this brings us to our next-gen consoles. Will they be susceptible to having a new set of issues unique to the launch versions of both the PS5 and Xbox Series X? As much as I don't believe they will, it's definitely a possibility with these consoles more than with previous consoles, and here's why. These new consoles are both using hardware leaps ahead of their predecessors, and with the shift over to SSDs from hard drives, I personally think we will see a new set of issues pop up, mainly storage related with these consoles. Now, obviously, if this is the case, I'm sure both consoles will have warranty and repairs will be covered by Sony and Microsoft respectively, but then again, I think this is a problem you can easily avoid, probably by holding off on grabbing the first batch of consoles. I asked you guys on Twitter as well whether you were able to pre-order the PS5, and it looks like most of you are in the same situation as me. Now, as much as I'd like to be able to be playing the PS5 by Christmas time this year, realistically speaking, besides backwards compatible games, the next gen consoles don't really have that many great games that are out on launch that are truly optimized for the consoles. And it'll probably take at least 1 or 2 years until we get games that really take advantage of the hardware that the PS5 and Xbox Series X have to offer. So if you're getting the consoles entirely to enjoy games in 8K, getting it on day one isn't really going to do too much for you. I'm still happy with playing my Xbox Series X, and I'm sure current gen consoles will still be supported for at least another 2 years. So being a little patient is probably going to help you out here more than hurt you. I'm interested to hear from you guys in the comments though on whether you were able to grab a PS5 or Xbox Series X pre-order. I know a lot of people managed to get them, and I actually know some people who have multiple pre-orders across different stores, but there are even more people I know who couldn't get one, myself included. Aside from all that, guys, as always, it's been Nick Plays Games, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!